Hello, everybody, and welcome in to episode 56 of the Dorton and Doetkott Debate podcast. I am Lucas Dorton. I am with Nick Doetkott once again, and we have a new face to the podcast today. Adam Schorn. Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing today?
I can't complain. Whenever I don't have to see just Nick, it's always a good day. So,
Yeah.
Wow. I have feelings,
yeah, that's all right. I don't care. No. So yeah, Adam's joining the show today, folks. If you could tell, we're doing our MLB preseason preview episode. So the season starts in a few days, obviously on Thursday. We're recording this on Tuesday, so a couple days in between here to watch this. But essentially, yeah, we're just going to go division by division, make predictions, playoff predictions, and then we'll do award predictions as well, too. So definitely, folks, might be a little bit of a longer podcast, but it'll be worth your wait. So stick around and listen. So, Adam, first question, though, for you, though. Is baseball your sport, or other sports maybe take precedent over it? Where do you fall on that?
Baseball's always been my first love when it comes to sports. Following it for lifelong fan of the Twins, obviously. Football is definitely, I've been more of a viewer of football the last few years, but definitely baseball's still high up there.
Cool. So where are your sports fandoms? Where do you lie? Certain teams? Are you all Minnesota or?
Yeah, I can never go away from Minnesota. If I had to say second favorite team in MLB is definitely the Cubs. As a kid, I was a big fan of Sammy Sosa, so I always like the Cubs as my second favorite team.
Slamming Sammy.
Yeah, I love me some Sammy Dangers.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, if you guys are ready,
this poor old folk is a Colorado Rocky fan.
Oh yeah, I see his picture. Yeah. Someone has to be a fan, I guess.
Well, someone has to. Sometimes at some point for a few years stretch, I was proud to be a Rockies fan. Now it's like, I'm going to be careful to not wear any Rockies stuff out and about because I don't want people to know I'm a Rockies fan. Oh, man. No.
Just get your Arenado Cardinals jersey. You'll be all right.
I'll have to get that. But anyway, so without further ado, we'll just get right into the predictions here. So we're going to start in the AL East. Adam, since you are the guest, who do you have 1 to 5 in the division, and then kind of walk us through why you picked that team to finish in that place?
Okay. Yeah, so winning the division, I do have the Yankees winning it. I just, that pitching staff is pretty good this year, and they got that 1-2 punch. I think it can do a lot. I think they got Judge. He's probably going to be healthy. Stanton's probably going to have another good year. You just can't their lineup is just too powerful, I think.
There's so many guys, yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard. Second, I would have the Blue Jays. They got some new faces in there. They got Springer this year. Springer will add a fresh new life for him. He'll really add to that lineup that they got going already. And he just all-around good player. Can't really complain about him. It'll be interesting. I wasn't too sure. Is Toronto? They're not playing in Toronto this year, right?
Where are they playing?
I think they're playing in Buffalo.
Buffalo?
I think they're playing in Now, I don't know if that's for the whole season or probably at least until Canada allows, access from the U.S. there, but probably Buffalo, I think.
Yeah, so, I wonder if that'll play a factor in that at all, but
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, but I do think Toronto is going to be second. For third, I put the Tampa Bay Rays. In their World Series last year, they always have a good mix of young guys and some veterans, and they always can play well. They're always sneaky. They never have like that breakaway star by any means. And then I kind of got some favoritism there. Mike Barrasso, I know his cousin, so
really?
I always go homer with him, with Mike Barrasso. Just like the least important guy on the team, but I got a little favoritism.
Hey, he had some big hits in the postseason this last year.
Oh yeah, he's definitely contributed a lot. But yeah, he definitely
the seventh inning. That was a huge home run.
Yeah. 4 round. I got the Boston Red Sox. I could see them building up a lot this year. I have them actually finishing 500.
Okay.
So I think they might even sneak away to like maybe a wild card spot, be in that mix for that wild card spot, and then rounding out Baltimore Orioles. They're just pretty bad right now.
Baltimore.
Yeah, hopefully they start picking it up. You know, they got some prospects coming up here soon, and see what happens with their team. But that's my 5. So Yankees, Blue Jays, Rays, Red Sox, Orioles.
Cool. I like that. Yeah. Nick, I'll get to yours in a second here. Especially I really liked what you mentioned about Tampa, how they don't really have a dude. Like when you think of the Rays, like, maybe like Tyler Glasnow or something, but like for the most part, they just have a lot of guys that fit into what they need. And they don't necessarily have the big names in the league, but they got to the World Series because of it, so it obviously works.
Yeah.
Nick, go ahead. Let's hear your AL East prediction.
All right, well, I think we picked a good guy to join us because I got the same exact order for the AL East. I got Yankees 1. I'm really not even that high on the Yankees, but it's just mainly because of injuries. If you could guarantee me they're going to stay healthy, I mean, they're so good. He mentioned Judge. Judge is honestly probably a top 3 hitter in baseball. It's just he's been injured so much the last few years. I think people forget how good he is. I mean, he had 8 home runs in 10 games last year to start.
Something like
that. With Judge, Stanton, Sanchez isn't what he used to be, but even he can hit it out of the ballpark. I mean, every guy on that team can hit out of the ballpark. And DJ LeMahieu is the most underrated player in baseball still. He's so good. Yeah. I'm not quite as high on their pitching. I know you mentioned pitching. I'm not quite as high. I mean, obviously they have Garrett Cole. He's a stud. And Jordan Montgomery's pretty good. Domingo Germán might get back in the mix. People forget he had 18 wins 2 years ago. But, I mean, I'm not super high on their pitching, but at the end of the day, they got plenty of arms and they got plenty of bats, so they will make up for the injuries that probably will hit them eventually too. So you got to put them in first. I have Toronto second. Very, very young team. It's kind of crazy that George Springer, like you mentioned, is the wily veteran. He's a vet, but he's not even that old. But he's way older than these guys. Their team is so young, but they're good. They can hit the crap out of the ball. And Ryu's a solid ace, but beyond that, they don't have enough pitching, I don't think, to win the division, but they will be competitive and they probably will get a wild card. I got Tampa at 3rd. It's it's way too easy to underestimate Tampa. They easily could win the division or get second again. I mean, they're always underestimated. They're used to being the underdog, but losing Snell, losing Morton, I'm just not confident they can, win the division again, especially in a 162 game season. But they'll still be a solid team. I got Boston 4th. I could see them going 500 like you have, but I actually have them with 77 wins just because as good as that lineup still is, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Verdugo, they just have no pitching at all. I mean, there's just nothing there. I mean, it might be the worst starting rotation in the league. It really might. I mean, besides your Texas Rangers of the world. And then, the Baltimore Orioles are last. Adley Rutschman. That's all you're looking forward to if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan.
Trey Mancini, him coming back too. It'll be cool to see what he does.
True. Trey Mancini, yes.
So I'll get into my predictions here. We're almost about the same. I have one little flip-flop, but I do have the Yankees finishing first. I have them winning 96 games. I'm kind of on the same path as Nick as far as the pitching staff doesn't wow me, but, Garrett Cole is going to do Garrett Cole things. If Corey Kluber is even a fraction of what he was in Cleveland, that'll be a great signing. And then eventually at some point, I believe Severino is supposed to come back. So when he does, that'll also be a nice rotation. I'm not sure when he's supposed to come back, but whenever he does, I mean, this guy's a phenomenal pitcher. And then you mentioned a couple other guys, too.
And they still got Britton and Chapman in the back end of the bullpen, too.
Right. I actually have Tampa finishing second with 91 wins. I have the Yankees with 96. Now, my thought process behind that was you know what? Toronto might finish second. But then I thought for a second, I said, Lucas, how many times have you not thought the Rays were going to be good and they win 90 games and make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
And typically, I think that after a big trade. when they got rid of Will Myers, however long that was ago, Chris Archer, Scott Kazmir, like all these guys, I'm like, there is no way this team's going to be able to come back from it. And every single time they do.
Yeah.
So I have Tampa winning 91 games because it's just fate at this point. They just know how to win games, and they're going to. So I'm going to put them second. I have Toronto finishing third with 87 wins. I will say this. I could see, even though I picked Toronto to finish third, I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto is able to sneak into that second spot, potentially get a wild card. But I don't have them doing that. I have Tampa doing that. But Toronto, 87 wins. Great young guys, and George Springer is going to be huge. I think they did some nice additions to their bullpen and their starting rotation as well, too. So that'll be nice for them. I also have the Red Sox, Adam, finishing 500 at 81 and 81. So I'm right on with you with that. The pitching staff is horrendous, but they're probably going to score 9-10 runs a game. But they'll give up 15, and it won't matter. And then I have Baltimore finishing last at 60 and 102.
I got 61 and 101.
Okay. Yeah. So nothing too exciting to say about them, but anyways. So we'll move to the AL Central now. Nick, we'll start with you on this one. Give us your AL Central predictions.
I'm going to start from the bottom on this one.
Okay.
I got the Detroit Tigers on the bottom. Now, okay, Detroit's they'll be better than what they were. Well, okay. Record-wise, I think they outperformed what they really were last year. They're a better team this year than they were last year, but, I mean, they're still going to be bottom. They're a few years out yet. I mean, they got Torkelson. You got a lot of young starters that'll be up soon. They got a bright future, but for this year, they're still going to be in last. I have a tie at 3rd and 4, but I'll give Kansas City the 4 because I think Cleveland will beat them head-to-head more. And I actually have Cleveland and Kansas City both going 82 and 80. I'm actually high on the Royals. They actually have a sneaky good lineup. Hunter Dozier, Jorge Soler, Andrew Benintendi, Carlos Santana. But they just don't have much pitching. But I actually have Cleveland at 3rd at 82 and 80 and Kansas City at 82 and 80. Cleveland, I could see doing better than that just because they're kind of like the Rays too. Oh, they lost Lindor. They lost Santana. How are they going to recover from it? But they could go pick up any Joe Schmo off the street, and he'd throw 7 innings, 2 earned runs with 10 Ks. It's just what they do. Anybody can pitch like a complete game darner for them. I don't know how they do it. So they'll still be competitive, and they got Karinchak to close out those games at the end. But they just really don't have much hitting at all. Kansas City's the opposite. A lot of should have hitting, not much pitching. And then everybody's high on the White Sox this year. They're going to be good, but I still have them in second. And with Eloy Jimenez getting injured, that's definitely going to affect them. You got Giolito and Keuchel 1 and 2. Actually, Keuchel probably 3 now with Lynn there. So you got a solid 3 pitchers. And then they got maybe the best closer in the league in Hendricks. But they're hitting. They got a lot of power. They're not necessarily the greatest average hitting team besides Tim Anderson and Abreu. And then defensively, I don't know. They're kind of iffy. So they're really good, but I'm still giving the edge to the Twins. Call me a homer, whatever. But to me, both teams are very, very close. And I'm going to lean to the team who's already done it 2 years in a row and has proven they can do it. And with Mayetta and Barrios at the front, I trust them. The bullpen doesn't have anybody who really shines, but the last 2 years, they've actually been pretty solid. I don't think many people realize that. They've been top 8 both years, or the last 2 years. And lineup 1 through 9, there's not really a weak spot. I mean, left field probably will be maybe the one weak spot this year, and then catcher, depending on what Garver does. Although Jeffers did really good last year, too, so catcher should be good this year, too. So the Twins, honestly, they're just – I mean, they probably don't even have a top 30 player on their team. Cruz is a top 30 hitter, but, he's DH, he's 41, whatever. But they're just really deep all the way around, and I still trust the Twins, and I think they're going to get the job done. And I actually have them with the best record in the American League just because I think the AL East is going to be too competitive, and I don't really trust anybody in the AL West.
Adam, what do you have for that division, AL Central?
Yeah, so I'll start from the top just because that's how I like to work.
I normally do. I just didn't want to put the Twins right away off the bat.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I do have the Twins winning the division. Like you kind of said, I don't think we have that stud, that the face of the franchise really. who's going to carry us. We have Cruz is really solid hitter, always gets the job done. You know he's going to put up his numbers every year. Nothing wrong with that. I do like our 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation. Maeda, he got some Cy Young votes last year. He's getting always consistent. He's never going to do anything too crazy, but, he's just very consistent, which I really like. Barrios, same. I think he's getting a little bit older, so he'll add more of that responsibility on his shoulders as well. You can't go wrong there. I do like the Twins winning first. I did not like the Simmons pick, to be honest, the signing. I'm just not a big fan of him. Also, I just think it's more of a hitting league now anyway, so it's hard when you just got a defensive guy.
The only reason I'm kind of all for it, normally I wouldn't be we got Andrelton Simmons, whatever. But watching Jorge Polanco play defense the last 3 years, I'll take Andrelton Simmons over because he's pitiful. Polanco's pitiful at short.
Yeah. Second, with you, I had the White Sox. Yeah, Jimenez, that's a big injury to that lineup. He was playing pretty solid last year. They still got Abreu. He's still get his numbers. They got a good team. They'll definitely be contending for a wild card, even the top of the division all year. I do have the Twins having 94 wins and the White Sox having 92 wins. So it's pretty close on what I
Twins 95, White Sox 93. So
yeah. So I have it pretty close on how I view them as competitors. I think they'll be right in there. Cleveland, I have them finishing 500 as well. I think, they want to rebuild. I think they should have kept, I can't even think of his name right now. Lindor.
Lindor, yep.
Yeah, Lindor. I thought that was a bad trade. They should have gave him some money. He could have been there the next 10 years and, really build that franchise up. They're always competitive too.
Yeah.
Royals, I have them finishing fourth. Like you kind of said, kind of just a bunch of players. They kind of do their thing. They always have somewhat solid pitching. They kind of work. Their big motto there is like big on the bullpen. Just get deep in those late innings. I did not like, I don't know if we're really talking about signings, but I didn't like the long-term signing of Perez. I think he's getting a little bit older, and I think catcher, a little wear and tear on your body, but hopefully it pays off for him, pays off for the team. And then the Tigers, they're kind of hard to watch. I actually have them winning 64 games, so just, not that 100-loss team, but pretty close to it. I think A.J. Hitch might add a little something to their team this year. Just coming as a fresh manager. Who knows what's going to happen there. It'll be interesting.
They did sign some vets. They got like Mazzara. They brought back Scope. They got somebody else too. But yeah, at the end of the day, they're just not good.
Yeah.
So Adam and I got 10 for 10 right now. We got the same exact 1 through 5 of the East and the Central.
Yeah.
Great
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, Lucas, are you going to change it up at all or same thing?
Well, the AL Central, we'll see. I'll leave you on pins and needles here. We'll go one by one here. So I'll start number 1. I do have the Twins winning the division. I have them at 95 wins.
Me too.
Yep. I just think that as far as their team goes, there's nothing that pointed out to me that would make me think they wouldn't be the division leader. They didn't really lose anyone. Brought in, a couple decent guys here and there. I guess Odorizzi, they lost him, but at the end of the day, he was spotty.
I wasn't a big fan of Odorizzi.
He was the most frustrating pitcher to you. He is the most frustrating pitcher you will ever watch. He could throw it. He'd be perfect through 5 innings, and he'd have 105 pitches.
That's fair. But anyways, yeah, I really do like what the Twins have still been doing. I think they win the division, especially you guys both mentioned it with the loss of Jimenez. That's going to be huge. So I'll move into second place now. I do have the White Sox at 91 wins. I think they'll be behind them, but I don't think I realize it's only a 4-game win difference, but I really don't think the Twins are going to be sweating much when it comes to the end of the year. They might steal a couple games here and there, but I just think that the White Sox are just behind them. For the last couple of years, I think I've been predicting, and Nick too, that the White Sox, they're right there. They're right on the doorstep of being a great team. And I think they are staying close. Like I mentioned, losing Jimenez is going to be huge. Maybe next year is the year that they break out and win the division. Maybe they make a couple more free agent signings. I don't know, trades. We'll see what happens. I have the White Sox finishing second. I have Cleveland in third with 82 wins. I think Lindor's, that's going to be kind of a big loss for them for that. And
they lost Carlos Santana, too.
Right, Santana and Carrasco as well, too. And he was a nice guy at the back end of the rotation as well. So that's going to be a huge loss for him. So I have them finishing third. Royals, I have them finishing fourth with 77 wins. I think they're an improved team from what they've been the last couple seasons. I still don't think they're a team that's really going to compete for anything, but I could definitely see them being a spoiler team at the end of the year, kind of screw some of the better teams out of some wins.
Well, I hope not. We play them the last series of the year, so.
Well, hopefully you get those 95 wins and won't matter anymore.
I'm thinking about going down to Kansas City and watching that, so it would be kind of cool if it's actually close.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then I have Detroit finishing last. Nothing really too exciting there with them. You know, they have a few guys that might be fun. AJ Hinch, Adam, kind of like you mentioned, I do like that move there. I really do. World Series experience. It's a little tainted, but at the end of the day, he's still won a World Series, knows how to get there, knows what needs to be done. Nice spot for him to land.
So all three of us are exactly the same. Man, we're boring.
Yeah.
Okay.
AL will be different, I think.
AL West. I guess I will start with this one. In my opinion, this is maybe the toughest division to pick, just because I don't think there's a clear favorite.
And I also think it's the worst division.
And I agree. I also think it's the worst division. I'm just not. So I'll just get into it here. I'll just get into it. Who I have. So I have the Astros finishing first with 89 wins. I don't. Springer that's going to be a ginormous loss for him. If Altuve can figure it out from what he did last year, because he was horrendous last year.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
Because I'm not even sure. Is Verlander out the entire season?
I think he'll be back at some point, but I'm assuming he'll miss a significant amount of time yet.
Yeah, I think he's out quite a bit. At least half the season for sure.
I would think. But anyways, so I have the Astros finishing first with 89 wins. I have Oakland finishing second with 87 wins. They're kind of, for me, a Tampa Bay Rays type team. Not as good as Tampa, but they don't really have they don't really have big names, but they find ways to win games.
Great comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So I have
low market teams.
Right. Oakland finishing, and obviously also they lost Marcus Semien, who was a solid player. They traded Chris Davis as well too. So that is couple guys, couple big bats out of the lineup that aren't quite going to be there, but like they always do, they'll find ways to win games. So I have them at 87. I have the Angels in third place with 85 wins. I still think they're a team that is they're knocking on the door of me wanting them to be a playoff team, but they haven't quite gotten through the door yet. And the reason I say that is they have great hitting. They have obviously the best player in baseball with Mike Trout.
Yeah, I think people want them to make the playoffs, like you said, but Trout.
Yeah, Joe Adele is going to be a solid player. Ohtani is going to be solid. They have good players that can hit.
Rendon.
But the big question mark is the pitching. And I don't think they did enough in the pitching staff to make me think they're going to break down that door.
They didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
If Dylan Bundy comes out and is great, that's great. But outside of him, the bullpen's horrendous. The starting pitching rotation obviously isn't the worst in baseball, but it certainly is not the best.
There's nothing there.
And this is a league that, Adam, you kind of mentioned it before, this is an offensive league. So, you need to have at least two guys at least in your starting rotation that when you throw them out there, they're going to compete for you.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they have.
Especially in the playoffs.
Especially in the playoffs.
Oh, playoffs, it changes completely, yeah.
Exactly. Playoffs definitely, in my opinion, switches to you need pitching over good hitting. And they don't have that. So I think they're going to finish third. I have the Mariners in fourth with 75 wins. I feel they're a team kind of in the boat with the Royals, where I don't think they're not a playoff team this year and may not be next year. But I do think they're going to progress in the next few years and potentially be a playoff team. They have great young players. Jared Kelenic, potentially, if he's called up, could win Rookie of the Year this year. They have a decent pitching staff and hitters who are serviceable. So I think they'll finish fourth with 75 wins. And then I have the Rangers in last, going 63 and 99. I just don't think that. I just don't think they're really going to do anything. In my opinion, I bet they probably trade Joey Gallo around the trade deadline and try and get pieces would be my guess. But yeah, I have the Rangers finishing fifth. Adam, I guess, AL West, what'd you have for that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna, I kind of went a little bit different here. I actually have the Angels winning the division.
Okay.
A little surprising there. I do have them at 91 wins. I think they can pull off some of those. I think, you kind of talked about it, but Mike Trout's the best player in the league, but he keeps getting criticized because he never makes it to the postseason. So I think,
which is totally unwarranted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I do think they pull it off this year. I do think they get that first place, like you kind of mentioned as well. This kind of divisions kind of open up for anyone, especially the top three teams. Like, you can interchange any one of those teams. If Houston coming in second, I think Springer is a big loss for them. It'll be interesting what happens there. We kind of talked about Verlander not coming back for a while. I just looked it up. He's actually probably not going to come back until September at the earliest. Okay. So he's going to be out most of the year, all the year. So it'll be interesting what happens there. I think Alvarez will be a big bat. I heard he was hurt right now, but it'll be interesting what he does. 'Cause he's a pretty young slugger that can hit a few out. Houston's always competitive. Altuve needs to pick it up a little bit this year too, bring it back to his MVP form. Oakland, we kind of talked about they're very similar to Tampa Bay. They're going to be always in the mix no matter what they do. Chapman's a good third baseman. He's a leader of the team. I think losing Davis is going to be huge for them. He always put up huge home run numbers, and he was really big with that bat. And, I think missing that basket cost the Athletics a few wins this year. Rounding out, I have the Mariners, not too impressed by them. They got some young prospects coming up who should, maybe add to the team. But it'll be interesting what happens there. And then Rangers, that new stadium is going to be bad baseball this year.
Yeah. It's a good thing they had the World Series last year, because at least that's the only good baseball they'll see in a long time at that stadium.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I do agree with the Gallows trade. I think the Hill will be traded. They can't really do much else with that roster they got going on right now. I actually have them losing around 100 losses, having 100 losses. So just to round out my wins, I would have the Angels 91, the Astros 88, the Athletics 86, the Mariners 69, and the Rangers 63 wins. So.
Okay. Also, too, another thing to note with the Rangers, Rougned Odor did not make the opening day roster on the team as well. So. Not that, Rougned Odor was the difference of the Rangers making the playoffs or not, but that definitely that's a few more losses for him for sure. Nick, what's your AL West?
So I actually have the division winner with 89 wins and second place with 87, just like you. But I have 1 and 2 flip-flopped. I have Oakland 1. Oakland, I'm going to use the same similarity you did. They're kind of like Tampa, and it's easy to underestimate them, but at the end of the day, they get the job done. They don't have anybody who really shines out. They just got a very well-built team. Their starting pitching ain't great, and there's a lot of guys who, you think could maybe take a step up, like Luzardo especially, and like Montas if he can do what he did 2 years ago before the suspension. But like, it's hard to say if you're going to get that, and there's been injury problems. But at the end of the day, they got plenty of guys there that can pitch. They lost Hendricks, which is big, but they added Rosenthal, and Rosenthal, if he does what he did last year, is not that much of a, downfall. Adam mentioned Chapman over there in the corner, probably the best defensive third baseman minus Nolan Arenado. And then Olsen, I believe, is the Gold Glover on the other end. So the corner infield's solid. I'm not positive who's replacing Simeon at short, but they got Laureano in center. So their defense is, the corner infield, center field, leader of the outfield. They got some good defense there with that pitching staff. So, and everybody knows Oakland, they're still in the Coliseum, right, for another year or two. There's a lot of foul territory for those guys to cover. So, I mean, they're not going to allow many runs this year. Hitting, on the other hand, they hit home runs, but they don't bat for average at all. Simeon had an off year last year, and they still won the division, but they're still going to miss him. Especially, 2 years ago, he was third in MVP. Probably should have been fourth or fifth, but he was third in MVP. He had like 120 runs or something like that. So they're definitely going to miss him. But they didn't lose. I don't think Davis is really that big of a loss. I mean, he hits home runs, but they got a lot of guys on that team who can hit home runs. He had an off year last year, but we'll see. You guys might be right. But besides Simeon, I don't really think they lost much. They didn't really gain much. Hendricks. But I already mentioned they got Rosenthal. I still think they're quality. They're going to win. Houston, I'd maybe put him up there if Verlander was healthy, but he's not. I don't trust Lance McCullers. And Greinke is getting old. He's still solid. And, you put him in a playoff game, I'm going to trust that guy. But he's not, your 3 ERA Greinke anymore. I just don't think they have enough starting pitching to compete. And then losing Springer, that offense is going to take a toll. And who knows if Altuve is going to come back to what he was. So they're still good. They got hitting all across the board, but I don't think they're good enough to get to win the division. I have Seattle third. Seattle has a very bright future. Very bright future. They just had the Rookie of the Year. They might have the Rookie of the Year this year, like Lucas mentioned. Marco Gonzalez is actually a very good starting pitcher that does not get a lot of credit. Kikuchi's pretty solid. I really like what this team's got going. Then again, I always think Seattle's going to take a step up, and they consistently miss the playoffs. They have the longest playoff drought in the major 4 professional sports. I believe it's at 19 right now. Mm-hmm. And I have them with 76 wins, which is not anything impressive, but it'll be good enough for third. And I think 2 or 3 years down the road, I think this will be a good squad. I have the Angels fourth. I just don't see it, Adam. Every year, the Angels are predicted to be good. Maybe they will be. 5 years ago, they were the best record in baseball or in the American League. I just don't see it. Every single year, they don't have pitching. And what's the GM do? Doesn't get any pitching. I don't get it. If you just go get some pitchers, you'll make the playoffs. But they just don't do it. No, you got Rendon, you got Trout. They lost Simmons, but he wasn't, a great hitter. Defensively, it'll hurt. But 3-4 batter or 2-3, whatever they go with Trout, Rendon, that's the best 1-2 punch in the league. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think there's enough pitching there. Ohtani is obviously the X factor. If he can do what he's doing in spring training, then, it's who knows what that could do to this team. But I just don't think they have enough pitching. I just don't think they do. And to be honest, I can't even really name you their bullpen. So I have them at 4. And then Texas Rangers, oh, boy. Oh. I feel bad for those fans who want to see a game at the new stadium, and they got to watch that. This is by far the worst team in baseball. And no, I won't say that because we still got the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Texas Rangers are very bad. And they can't even watch the one guy who's been there for a decade, Elvis Andrus, because he's now in Oakland. Oh, that answers my question. That's the replacement for Simeon. Texas is very, very bad. I answer my own question here. Texas is very, very, very bad. That I have them at 59 and 103. So if you're a Texas Ranger fan, you might just want to skip over the portion where I predict your team. There we go.
All right, folks. So NL East time, moving over to the National League. Adam, we'll start with you on this one. What did your NL East look like?
So I do have the Mets winning the division at 92 wins. I think Lindor is going to be a really solid ad. Alonso's going to have his home runs. I think their offense looks pretty solid. I know they tried to get in they got Stroman right now. They got a couple new starters. Walker's there. He'll do well. My boy Trevor May is now in that bullpen.
That's right, yeah.
So it'll be interesting what happens there. I mean, he's not a star by any means, but it's always good to follow former Twins.
He's quality.
Yeah. And DeGrom, you can't ever complain. He's always going to be in that mix for that Cy Young at the end of the year.
Question, Adam. Who's the best starting pitcher in baseball?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. I think it might be Garrett Cole, to be honest with you.
Okay. I go with DeGrom. I mean, it's really DeGrom, Cole, or Bieber probably, right?
Yeah.
I lean DeGrom, but obviously Cole's. I mean, there's a case for Cole too, as there's Bieber. I do think it's DeGrom though.
Yeah. And you can't complain with him. He's gonna put up low numbers for runs. That Mets offense is gonna produce this year, I think. Lindor, he has that, you can't teach spark, and he has that spark that will bring to the team and light it up for them. So I have them first. I do have the Atlanta Braves coming in second, but the Atlanta Braves will make the playoffs as a wild card team.
Oh yeah, they're loaded.
They lost in the NLCS last year. I do have was it Anderson? Is that their rookie?
Ian Anderson, yep.
Yeah, I do have him winning the Rookie of the Year this year, so I think he'll really help that rotation. They'll be a good team. They're right on the cusp of making the World Series last year.
Yeah, they were up 3-1.
Yeah. And then in the Nationals, I have them third. Scherzer, you can't beat him. He's a good ace at the top of the rotation. He's pretty solid. Juan Soto, he's a really solid hitter, really solid player. He's kind of like Lindor, as I kind of talked about, has that spark to the team, that leadership quality. I actually have the Phillies fourth, and I have them finishing right at 500. What will be interesting because they have, they have that big payroll to fill too. And, I've never been a super big fan of Bryce Harper, but it'll be interesting what they do as a team. I could see them maybe getting outside chance of that second wild card spot.
I wonder if they have a bad year this year, if they'd think about trading Harper.
They would have to think about it. It's not worth it. I mean, what you could get for him, but that contract is kind of garbage, and no one would want it.
The Yankees or the Dodgers of the world would do it.
That's true.
Oh, Harper? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. And then I have the Marlins fifth. I think, they're not a very impressive team. They made the playoffs They did make the playoffs last year, right? Yeah.
Yep. They won it.
So it'll be interesting what happens there. The Marlins are kind of those teams. I wouldn't say they're the Tampa Bay or the Oakland of the world, but they're like the third team that might always sneak something out and be better than they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sanchez is a really good player to watch. Good pitcher. You'll see him every couple of days, and so that always brings people to the ballpark. But that's my five is the Mets, the Braves, the Nationals, the Phillies, and the Marlins.
Nick, let's hear NL East.
I think it's the most intriguing division of baseball by far. I think it's going to be the most not necessarily competitive. I think it's going to the hardest to predict 1 through 5, and I think it's the best division. I think the last place team in this division will be the best last place team in baseball. However, I don't think it's going to be close for the division winner because I'm very high on Atlanta. They were up 3-1 on the Dodgers last year. They have Acuna, Albies, Freeman, the MVP, Ian Anderson, like you mentioned, Soroka, eventually Max Fried. They just got Charlie Morton. I mean, this team is loaded. Dansby Swanson's finally looking like he's, a top 10 pick. He was number 1 overall, I believe. He's finally looking like he might pan out. I'm just really high on this team. I have him at 99 and 63, and I have him winning the division by 11 games actually, because I think the 2 through 5 are going to beat up on each other. I'm just really high on Atlanta. I do have the Mets at 88 wins, which I think is pretty solid. I don't think they're going to win the division like many people think. They're actually the favorites to win the division, Adam, and I'm surprised. I figured it'd be Atlanta. I get it. They got Lindor. They have what I just said. I think my best pitcher in baseball is DeGrom. They have a good bullpen. Diaz did a lot better last year than they did 2 years ago. Trevor May. There's some other names that I'm blanking on in that bullpen. They got Pete Alonso, maybe the best nickname in sports, Polar Bear.
Yeah.
Jeff McNeil's very solid, can play everywhere. Dominic Smith had a good year last year. Conforto, Nimmo. I mean, they got quality. I just think the Braves are better. I just do. So I have the Mets at second. I have Miami at third. I actually think Miami's better than what people think. Most people, I'm interested to see where Lucas has them. I think most people have them in last like you did, Adam. However, they made the playoffs last year. They won a series. I understand it's 60 games, but I believe they had like 31 wins. They have a really good young pitching staff. Sixto Sanchez, best name in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Pablo Lopez, Yamamoto's good. They got some good pitchers there. Offense, not necessarily the greatest, but I mean, they're well-rounded, and I honestly think Miami is going to compete. I have them with 84 wins this year. That's probably my. I still have missing the playoffs, but that's probably the one team I have finishing up like more above their predicted win-loss than anybody. I have Washington at 500 at fourth. To me, Washington's the hardest team in all of baseball to predict this year.
Yeah.
They won the World Series 2 years ago after being like literally darn near the worst team in baseball, like coming into July or something like that. And then they were bad last year. But they have Scherzer and Strasburg, who are one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball. But they both Strasburg's had his injury concerns. Scherzer's getting up there. What are you going to get from him? But if you get peak Scherzer Strasburg, well, they're very good. Juan Soto, in my opinion, you could already argue he's right up there with Trout in hitting. I'm serious. 2 years from now, Juan Soto will be the best player in baseball. Mark my words. Juan Soto will be the best player in baseball in 2 years. He is an animal. And the Nationals have a Trey Turner is a very, very good player. They obviously lost Rendon coming into last year. That hurt, but they still got good players. They could get 90 wins. They could get 70. I don't know. So why not just put them at 81 and 81? And then I have Philly in fifth with 78 wins, which is very good for a fifth-place team. Philly has that huge payroll, but at the end of the day, most of them are bad contracts. Those guys just aren't good. Bryce Harper's good, but he's very overrated. Their pitchers, their starting pitchers aren't that good. Zach Wheeler's solid, but besides that, they really don't got much.
Aaron Nola.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I don't mean to disrespect Aaron Nola. You're right. Aaron Nola's good. Hoskins can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Gregorius is decent, but they got guys, just not enough of them, and they got some weak spots. And in this division, I see them getting fifth. No other division of baseball would they be fifth except this one. But
so I'll go into my predictions now. I have Atlanta also winning the division with 93 wins. I really do think Atlanta is going to be one of the best teams in baseball this year. They're going to be, I mean, you already mentioned the pitching rotation that they have is going to be amazing, especially when Soroka comes back, whenever that's supposed to happen. And then
I think like
wise,
a month and a half or so he's out, but a lot of times those pitching injuries seem to go a little longer, but I'd say probably like June.
Okay. Yeah, I believe I think it was a torn Achilles, so I'm not sure typically how long they're out for that. But anyways, we'll have to see. I mean, with Freddie Freeman, the NL MVP from last year, Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson, Marcell Ozuna, this is a really good team. So I definitely have Atlanta finishing in first. Second place, I have the Mets at 90 wins. I think they'll be a few games behind the Braves. I really love what the Mets have done this offseason. I think they've improved in a lot of areas, and I think they'll be competing. I think Atlanta will definitely pull away at the end of the season. So I think the Braves will win. I think the Mets at 90 wins will be in second. The Nationals, I have them finishing in third, and I agree 100% with Nick. They are one of the hardest teams to predict because I think they could be a great team, they could be an awful team, or they could be right in the middle. I don't know. I have them finishing in third with 88 wins. I think they'll compete for a little bit, but at the end of the day, I don't think they'll do much. Probably be kind of a spoiler role for sure. I have the Phillies finishing in fourth with 86 wins. I do think they'll be a decent team this year. I don't think it'll be enough to make the playoffs, but I think they do have great players, and if they're not winning at least 80 games with the roster that they have, that's a shame. So I have them finishing 86. And then I have the Marlins finishing in last with 71 and 91. I'm never going to say a team or a player has a fluke season because if you're a good team, you're a good team. If you're a good player, you're a good player that year. But I will say if there's any team that benefited from the 60-game seasons, I definitely do think it was the Miami Marlins. I don't think they're going to be competing much this year.
Houston made the playoffs at 29-31.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Okay. The Astros and Miami both came off well for the 68 season, but I think the Marlins definitely benefited off of that. I don't see them doing much this season. I think they're a team that's a few years out yet, like I was saying before, with a couple other teams.
Pitching staff looks good.
Pitching staff is good. They're a very young team, but I think they need to get a couple solid veteran guys that they can rely on in the long run. And I think once they do that, then they might be competing later on. But I think they're a few years out yet. So I have 71.
Going back to the Mets, that Subway Series should be really good this year.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'd be good.
You had both New York's winning the division. Who do you have with more wins? Who do you think is the better team?
What was that?
What New York team do you think is better?
Oh, definitely the Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have the Yankees at 97 wins, and then I have the Mets at, I think I said 93 wins. So.
Okay. How many wins did you have Washington with?
I have them at 88 wins.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that division does this year. But anyways, moving on to the NL Central. Nick, we'll start with you on this one. My opinion, it's kind of similar to the AL West, where it's like, I'm not really sure. But anyways, who do you have in that division?
To me, it's a two-horse race. Some could say through the Cubs. I'm just not high on them. To me, it's between the Brewers and the Cardinals. The Cardinals are the favorite. I'm assuming most of, I totally understand that. But I'm high on the Brewers. They have possibly the best two relievers in baseball. I mean, Hendricks is really good, Karinchak, but Josh Hader is a man amongst men, a man amongst boys, whatever the saying is. I don't know. Devin Williams allowed one run last year, I believe. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure he allowed one run. He was an animal. He was Rookie of the Year for a reason. Devin Williams is a stud. And that is, I would say 8-9 duo, but Hader can throw three. So, you get to the sixth inning, and Williams and Hader will close it out. And you got Burns and Woodruff, who are both very solid starting pitchers. So, to me, I think as long as Woodruff and Burns stay healthy, if those two can get 55 starts between the two of them, I think they win at like 35 of those games. That's 35 and 20. You only need to find, 45 wins amongst the rest of the starters, which should be done, or about 50 wins amongst the rest of the starters to make the playoffs, and you'll be all right. And I think they can do that. And you still have Yelich there, who had Yelich, Bellinger, Altuve. There was a lot of really good players last year who had bad years. Normally, I would not just say people use the 60-game season last year as like this team didn't deserve it, blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. However, I think it is kind of a fluke last year. Some of these guys, it's just the amount of guys who underperformed last year, there had to be something, right? And Yelich claimed he had less, Yelich said there was less like tape and preparation, and it really messed him up. And you know what? I'll vouch for him there. I think Yelich is going to have a bounce back year. I think he's one of the best hitters in baseball. Yelich and Soto are possibly my two favorite players. Yelich is a stud. They got Lorenzo Cain, I think they still got. They got Bradley Jr., so their defense in the outfield is legit. Keston Hiura is very solid. I'm picking Milwaukee to win that division. St. Louis, I have 2 games behind them. I have Milwaukee with 91 wins. I got St. Louis with 89. They picked up Nolan Arenado, obviously the biggest addition of any team in the offseason. Maybe Bauer, but I would say Arenado. You got Arenado and Goldschmidt. That's a very solid corner right there. They lost Colton Wong, which is big. But like I said, obviously they added Arenado, so that's a lot better addition than it is subtraction. You have a lot of quality. They don't really have much home run hitters on that team, but they got guys who can get on base and run the bases. Harrison Bader, Tommy Edman. You still got Yachty there behind the plate, going to keep your pitching staff in line, and they got a lot of good young pitchers. Kim is injured right now. They need him to come back, but I don't think it's anything serious. Jack Flaherty, with the exception of one start last year, his ERA would be a lot better. And the second half of 2019, he was the best pitcher in baseball. So St. Louis, I don't think they've gone under 500 in like 15 years or something like that. I could be wrong, but they're always up there. They're going to compete. I just don't think they have – I'm just high on Milwaukee, so I have St. Louis at second. Cubs, they're all declining so fast. Chris Bryant isn't even old, and he's already bad. Javier Baez is very overrated. Rizzo's good, but he's not great. Contreras is good, but I could see them trading him. They talked about it in the offseason. They don't have much pitching. They lost Lester. Arrieta's not that good anymore. They lost Darvish. I have them with 84 wins, and while I'm even talking here, I think that might be too many, but I have them at third. Cincinnati lost Bauer, the Cy Young. They got Castillo and Gray, but they can't hit. They can hit home runs, but they might have the worst average of any team in baseball. Suarez hits dingers, though. Eugenio Suarez is a baller. Besides that, they don't got much. I have them at 75 wins, and I have the Pittsburgh Pirates at 59 and 103, tied for the worst record in baseball with the Texas Rangers. It's a good thing they got a beautiful ballpark. At least it looks that way. I've never been there, but it's a nice ballpark, so you can go. Check out a nice view from your seat. But besides watching Brian Hayes, you don't really got much to watch in Pittsburgh. You can go for the opposing team, I guess. But yeah, Pittsburgh, pretty bad.
Okay, Adam, let's hear your NL Central prediction.
Central, yes. I had the same top two as you did. I actually have it a 2-game mixture between the two, but I actually have the Cardinals winning the division. You had the Brewers, right? Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, I think those corner bats are going to be really huge this year. Goldschmidt and Ariano, they're both going to put up a lot of dingers. It'll be interesting what their pitching rotation, how that produces. I think that's going to be the big question mark for me on that roster, at least. Wainwright, they always try to think he's still an ace, but, he's getting a little bit older. And he doesn't really have that ace form anymore. The Brewers, their bullpen, man, that bullpen is nasty. Like, I don't think you can find a better bullpen in Major League Baseball right now. Like,
if they make it to the playoffs, they could be scary with that bullpen.
Yeah, it is really good. Like, they're almost unhittable right now, and it's just crazy. I do have the Brewers coming in second. Like I said, it's 2 games for me as well, so that could easily be flip-flop either way at the end of the season, what happens. Ellis is, he'll have, he had a short season, probably hurt him a lot. They got Colton Wong this year. They had a few defensive positions that really upgraded, should help them out a lot this year on that second place finish. I do have the Cubs finishing third. I do have them finishing 1 game under 500 or 2 games under 500. They lost a lot. They don't have Lester Darvish anymore. And I see them trying to trade a lot of people this year. I see Rizzo. He's not going to be on that team come the trade deadline. You kind of hit on Brian. He's still relatively young too, and he's like not performing at all.
Yeah, he was like 150th overall pick in my fantasy draft on Sunday. I mean, he's fallen, man.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting what happens. Like I said, Cubs are my second favorite team, so I always have a little bias, and I want them to do well. They're only a few years off of World Series, and I actually thought they were going to keep that going for a few years, and they kind of didn't do anything after that World Series win,
Yeah, they
progressively got worse.
They made the playoffs, I think, the next 2 years, but they've kind of been fading a little step down.
Yeah, I remember that team was so young, and they were talking about, like, even they had, like, Schrober and stuff like that, and they're like, there's no way this team's going to be broken up.
They lost him, too,
Yeah, and now they're just losing everyone. So it'll be interesting what happens with the Cubs. The Reds, I have them coming in 4th place with 73 wins. I think they got some bats. Sararas, he's always fun to watch, and, he kind of got that arrogance to him. I kind of like that in a baseball player. Bauer is a huge loss. You lose that ace, that Cy Young winner. It'll be interesting, but I have them coming in 4th. I don't see them even coming close to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I actually have the Pirates as the worst record in the league with 105 losses this year.
To me, it's them or Texas. To me,
Yeah,
they're really bad.
And it'll be really interesting what they really want to do. I know they traded like Bell away this offseason, so they're definitely gonna try and rebuild. It'll be interesting what happens there. Pirates are in our team, like you kind of said. I like that ballpark too. Pittsburgh deserves some good baseball, and they're not
really hope to get there one day. PNC.
Yeah, it would be a fun park to check out. But yeah, that's my order. I have St. Louis first, Milwaukee second, Chicago third, Cincinnati fourth, and the Pittsburgh Pirates fifth.
Cool. So for me, I have the Cardinals finishing first. I don't think they'll win a lot of games, but I think they'll win enough to win the division. I actually only have them winning 87 games, but I do think that'll be enough to win the division.
Yeah, last year, and I believe even the year before that, the division winner did not have that many wins in that division.
Yeah. I have the Cardinals getting 87 wins. In my opinion, I agree with Nick. I think they made the biggest move this offseason in acquiring Nolan Arenado. One thing that the Cardinals struggled with last year is getting consistent hitting. And, Arenado is, in my opinion, the best third baseman in baseball. And, as much as people talk about his defense, which is deservedly so, the guy has a great bat, too. And I think he's going to bring that to St. Louis and hopefully help them win the division for them. The reason why I don't have them winning much more games than 87 is because outside of Flaherty, I'm not 100% sold on the pitching rotation. I think, you mentioned a couple players there, Nick, in the rotation that might do something. Michaelis, Wainwright's well past his prime. I think they have Carlos Martinez at the back end of the rotation.
Kyung-Soo Kim's pretty good, but he's injured right now, and his sample size is pretty small, but he had a really good year last year.
And the bullpen might be decent, but I think who they have out in the field, I think they'll score a lot of runs with Goldschmidt, Arenado. Tommy Edmonds really solid, O'Neill's really solid, and Dylan Carlson, who a lot of people are predicting to win Rookie of the Year in right field as well too. So I think they'll be a much improved.
They still got DeJong?
I think so. Yeah,
they do. Yeah.
Young, yeah. So I have them winning the division. Second, I have the Brewers with 84 wins. I think that they're a team that's going to compete with St. Louis all the way down to the end, but I don't have them doing enough. Their bullpen is amazing. I think they have a great bullpen. But they're just, I don't know. There's just something about them that I have a tough time picking them to do much better than that. What that is and what the reason is, honestly, I'm not 100% sure. But I don't feel that they're going to be a team that's going to compete.
If they don't win the division this year, it's because Miller Park's no longer Miller Park.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's probably the reason. Maybe that's the reason why I'm not picking them to win the division, because it's not Miller Park anymore.
You'll take Busch Field over no longer Miller Park.
That's right. But anyways, I think they'll have bright spots this year. Obviously, Yelich is going to do a lot better. I think the pitching rotation is going to be decent. Maybe it's just the offense isn't enough for me. I don't think Yelich is going to be able to put the team on his back. He'll do his fair share worth, but the offense just isn't. I'm not the biggest fan of it. And then third place, I have the Cubbies finishing 500, 81, and 81. Again, Adam, you kind of mentioned it. They've been steadily declining. Players that were all-stars are either not there anymore or they're just not good. And then the pitching rotation is taking a ginormous hit. I think Hendricks is a baller, and I think he'll do great this year.
He's really solid.
But losing Darvish hurt. John Lester, not that was a huge loss. He hasn't been amazing the last couple of years, but that's still a loss of a guy that's a veteran pitcher. He's gone, and then, the bullpen isn't amazing, and the offense is they got Zach Davies from Milwaukee, who's a decent pitcher, but I don't think he's going to be enough to make them a noteworthy team this year. I had the Reds finishing in fourth. You guys kind of touched on the main topics there with 72 wins. They're going to hit for days. They will drive in a lot of runs this year, and I have no doubt about that. But outside of Luis Castillo, there's not much bright spots from the Reds.
Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray too, yeah. I don't think they'll be great this year, so I have them at 72. And then Pittsburgh, yeah, I have them with the worst record in baseball, 58 and 104.
So you got 104, I got 103. You got what, 105 losses, Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty bad.
There's not a whole lot going for Pittsburgh this year, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about them because they're just not going to be good.
Yeah, we all have Chicago, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I think most would agree. The only question mark is who's 1, who's 2.
Yeah.
Right. So now we move on to the NL West. I'll start with this one. For me, this is, I think, could be maybe outside. I think 1 and 2, for me, I'm the most intrigued with. Out of all of the divisions, I'm the most intrigued with it. I have the Dodgers finishing first. I have them going 103 and 59. Now, 103, I have that as the most wins out of any team in baseball for me this year. I could potentially, if they now people are probably going to listen to what I'm going to say right now, and they're probably going to think, Lucas, how does that make any sense? But it will. Just listen. Hear me out here, okay? I have the Dodgers winning 103 games. If they have the max potential where everyone that they have does just balls out, I could see the Dodgers potentially winning 110-plus games. I could see. I honestly could. Now, there are going to be games where Cody Bellinger sucks, where Mookie Betts sucks, where Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw suck. But 103 wins is what I have. And if 103 wins is not their max potential, good Lord, I don't know if I can see them what their top potential is. But I have them at 100.
Very good.
I have them at 103 and 59. I have the Padres finishing second at 97 and 65. Any other division in baseball, they're the top of the division, and I have no doubt about that. Any other division in baseball, but they just got kind of screwed with the division that they're in the same one as the Dodgers, and 97 wins isn't going to be enough to win the division. They might be one of the most improved teams in baseball, and you're probably saying, Lucas, how can we most improved if they were great last year? Well, you're probably right.
2 years in a row.
Right, yeah, but they, bringing in Blake Snell was huge. They made great improvements in the pitching rotation. I'm assuming Clevenger will probably be back at some point this year. I'm not sure when, but he'll be back. Blake Snell is there. Lamet is one of in my opinion, Dilson Lamet is one of maybe, if not the most underrated pitcher in baseball. This
guy
is
2.07 ERA last year or something.
This guy is so good. And, maybe part of it's the team that he's on, the pitchers that are there just get more notoriety. Chris Paddock's going to be great this year.
They also got Musgrove.
Yeah, Musgrove. And I know they have Mackenzie Gore, who's a solid pitcher and, prospect that's been there. I mean, the Padres are going to be a fun team to watch this year. But the Dodgers, the pitching rotation, Kershaw, Buehler, Bauer, I mean, come on. That's just – I'm honestly intrigued to see who has the better pitching stats at the end of the year between the Dodgers and Padres. The only reason I have the Dodgers finishing ahead of the Padres is because I think their hitting is better than the Padres is. But I think
maybe their bullpen.
Maybe the bullpen, but I think the pitching staff, starting rotation, they could match each other, Dodgers and Padres. I really think they can. But I think the Dodgers hitting is what's going to separate them between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So off of that, I know you guys are probably shocked I didn't have the Rockies finishing first. I didn't want to come off as too biased.
Yeah.
We want people to watch this podcast.
Yeah.
That's fair. I have the Giants finishing in third place, around 580 wins. They're a team that, they don't really wow me anywhere. I don't think they're the worst team in baseball. But I think they're a team that's going to be stuck in a rut with right in the middle for a lot of years until they get rid of some guys and either start fresh or they sign big free agents or make trades to get back to where they were. So I have them at 80 and 82. Diamondbacks really underperformed a lot for me. I was really high on the Diamondbacks last year. I definitely thought they were going to be a wild card team. They were nowhere near that. And obviously, Madison Bumgarner was hurt, and then when he pitched, he was not great at all.
Yeah. It hurts me to say that Bumgarner's not very good anymore.
Yeah,
he was not great.
He's pretty much my favorite player, and he's gone down the tank.
But with Ketel Marte, he's a solid hitter. I don't know. I'm not too high on the Diamondbacks this year. I have them only winning 73 games and losing 89. Maybe they'll surprise me, but I don't think so. And then last place, I have the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies have never lost 100 games in their franchise history. I think this is the year that changes. I have them going 60 and 102.
So if they're 60 and 101, that's going to be – or if they're 61, what would it be?
Yep, 61 and 101.
62 and 99 coming into the last game. Ooh, yeah. That'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. People are probably listening to this and saying, you know what, how is losing Nolan Arenado going to be the difference between like 15 losses? When you have the best player in baseball at that position, and it doesn't matter. If the Mets lose Jacob deGrom, if the Dodgers, lose a few more guys because they have a few guys that are solid. If they lost like Mookie Betts, Walker Buehler, and like Justin Turner, they probably wouldn't be great, as great. But anyways, the Rockies losing Nolan Arenado is going to be huge. Trevor Story, honestly,
feel bad for that guy.
I feel awful for him because he's going to do great this year. I think he's probably the best shortstop in baseball, but
I agree.
But it's not going to do enough to do anything. Honestly, he's a free agent this year. I could see the Rockies probably trading him at the trade deadline or not signing him back in the offseason. I bet Blackman, they probably try and ship him at some point. They have dudes that could make them competitive at times, but German Marquez is a stud. Outside of him, I'm not too sold. Kyle Freeland might be decent this year. If he is, then maybe they don't lose 100 games. But I don't know. There's nothing about the Rockies this year. I've been telling people this, and this is very depressing for me to say. This is, I think, the least excited I've ever been for a Colorado Rockies season, I think, in my entire life. So
maybe the opposite for me.
Yeah. Well, you got to have something to be happy about in 704 here, so I'm glad one of us can. But Rockies 602, I have them finishing last. So Adam, NL West, who did you have for that?
Yeah, like you kind of were talking about. I think this is going to be the most entertaining division in all of baseball. It'll be interesting.
Just the two teams, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, like watching those. How many times like ESPN puts these two teams on Sunday Night Baseball, and how many times they face off, and who it comes down to.
First game of the year is Dodgers and the Rockies, actually.
Yeah. Oh, for real? Yeah, just
first time, baby. Everyone in America can watch us get stomped by the Dodgers. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do have the Dodgers winning with 101 wins. They got a pretty solid lineup, defending champions. You can't argue with that. It's always a good team. Their starting rotation's pretty solid. They got the bats. They got Betts, Seager, Bellinger. They got bats for days. They're gonna hit home runs. I thought the interesting move was, I don't know if you guys saw, but Price didn't make the starting rotation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that just was announced today. And I actually see him becoming the closer of the team.
I mean, Jansen has been kind of falling off a little bit. But
yeah.
Who is their 5 then?
So right now, let me pull it up. I just had it.
I would assume probably like Dylan May or someone like that.
Dustin May made the 5th spot. He had the 5th spot.
To me, he should have been in it.
Yeah. And so it'll be interesting what happens. I do not like Dustin May's hair at all, though. Every time I see him pitch, I just want to cut it.
Now Nick is taking direct offense to this. He's pretty much.
I know.
You don't like Dustin May's hair. You don't like his hair. Yeah, he's gone. Nick's gone.
Oh yeah, sorry about that, Nick. I just had to throw a shot out there.
I can't even wear my hat. I can't even have my hair like this when I play. I don't know how he gets a hat that stays on his head. I have to wear like a skull cap or my hat falls off.
Yeah, I bet that's what he does too. But this, like I said, interesting division. I do have the Padres coming in second. So I have the Dodgers with 101, the Padres with 97 wins. If Nola didn't get hurt, I would argue that this is the best infield in baseball. The Padres. Like, you can't beat it. Like, you got Hosmer, you got Tatis, you got Machado. Their second baseman might be a little questionable, but other than that.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm not a huge Machado guy, but he actually had a very, very good year last year. I didn't even realize it. He finished higher in MVP than Tatis did.
Yeah, he did. And I've always been a Machado guy. I don't know why I like him. Mostly because he's a little arrogant, and I kind of like him.
See, Tatis Jr. must be one of your favorite players, right? Because he's he's all amped up all the time, right?
Yeah. And I was just going to hit on that. I'm glad you mentioned that. Good transition. I think MLB is trying to make Tatis like the face of the MLB.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because as good as Trout is, he's kind of boring,
He is very boring.
Tatis, you were going off on like Lindor and all those other guys. I'm like, man, you must love Tatis because the dude tags up on a pop up 120 feet away from the home plate. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a big Tatis fan. A lot of people, I heard people knock his contract, but that was a team-friendly contract, like no tomorrow. Like, he'll be
locked up for good now.
Yeah, he'll be there for a while. He'll be the face of the MLB. He'll have a couple good seasons. I do see them trading Will Myers this year, though. I do see him not being on the team the whole year. I kind of feel like he's always been like good, but never great by any means. And, they want to shore up that outfield. I think maybe that's a position they can really look at trading away. I kind of have the rest of the division. I do have the Giants third with 79 wins. I do think, the Giants are one of those teams that, they won a couple World Series and they still kind of hold on to that magic, even though it's been, 2015 is the last time they won.
10, 12, 14.
Yeah, so 14 is the last time they won, and they're still trying to hold on. They still have Bell, Crawford, Posey. Posey is even anything anymore? Or is he just done?
He's all right. He's there.
Yeah, and so, he was good in his prime when he was solid. He's a pretty solid catcher, but I think he's fallen off the wayside. I do have the Diamondbacks finishing fourth with 73 wins. Another thing with Madison Bumgarner. I think he was good at one point, but now he's kind of dipping in. I'm just looking at stats right now, and his ERA last year, shortened season, was 6.5. Like pretty bad. And so I kind of see them not doing very well. And then, sorry, Lucas, but I do also have the Rockies coming in last. I don't have them with 100 losses like you do. I have them with 99 losses.
I have them with 98.
So I give them a little bit more hope than you, but. Also I see Trevor Story possibly getting traded away this year, try to rebuild, but it'll be interesting what happens there. I kind of always liked the Rockies. I remember as a kid them making the World Series, and that was always fun to watch. But, like the Rockies, I just don't think they have anything going on right now, and, it's time to rebuild.
I agree. There in sports, there are teams that just know how to win. Tampa Bay, Patriots, obviously minus last year,
Spurs.
Like Spurs, just know how to win. The Rockies, they just don't know how to. They just know how to lose. And
just like the Chargers and the Lions.
Yep.
They just know how to lose. Nick, NL West.
And the Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves.
I have the Dodgers at 105 and 57. Lucas, I don't think 110 is crazy at all. This team could win 115 if they stay healthy, and I'm not kidding. The Mariners won 119, I believe. Well, the Dodgers roster is probably even better than that. So I have them at 105 and 57. I have two teams in baseball with 100 wins, the Dodgers and the Padres. I have the Padres at 162. I do think the Padres are probably the second best team in baseball. But it's between them and Atlanta, in my opinion. I have Atlanta at 99 wins, but that's only because their division's really competitive. San Diego, being they're in the division with the Dodgers, that'll take some wins away. But the other three, Dodgers and Padres are just going to beat up on them all year. So, unfortunately for the Padres, yes, I have them at 162, but in second place. I agree they'd probably win every division in baseball besides this one, except maybe the NL East. I think Atlanta's really good. It's a debate, but I have them at 162 and losing by 5 games. That would be rough. I have Arizona in third. I agree with Lucas. They were probably my most disappointing team last year as well, but I'm going to double down on them and predict a decent year out of them this year. 80 and 82 is not that great, but considering you have 205 wins between your first and second place, it's not that bad either. So I have Arizona going 80 and 82. They still got Ketel Marte, who had an off year last year. I expect him to bounce back. Eduardo Escobar is solid. Zach Gallen is really good. If it weren't for the last 2 starts, his ERA would have been spectacular last year. Merrill Kelly's all right. Their bullpen is absolutely terrible, which is going to be the reason they don't win 80 if they don't. Because their bullpen is terrible. But they got some good players over there. San Fran has long been my second favorite team behind the Twins. I love Madison Bumgarner. Obviously, he's not there anymore, but I love Bumgarner. I love Posey. I loved Pablo Sandoval, Bruce Bochy. But I just don't think they're that great. They always find a way to win games, but I'm just not going to predict it. I have them at 68 and 94. Really not impressive at all. And then I have Colorado at 64 and 98. So I have 98 losses. Adam 99, Lucas 100. So coming to that last week of the season, it'll be interesting where they're at and how close they are. And we'll see if they get to that 100 loss plateau and they get that 100 loss season finally. I'm confident with Story and Blackman and Marquez, and especially being San Fran in that division, and they'll get to play Pittsburgh and Cincy, that they'll avoid 100. But if they trade Story and Blackman like they should, they might get to 100. That might be the difference I see. So yeah, I have Dodgers with. I don't know if we need to do this, but I have the Dodgers with the 1, Atlanta 2, Milwaukee 3, San Diego 4, St. Louis 5.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I guess we'll just go right into the playoff predictions here then. So, Adam, we'll start with you. Give us your AL and NL wild card matchups and who you have winning.
So I do have the Chicago White Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays.
As do I.
And then I think I have the White Sox winning.
Okay. And then what about your NL wild card?
NL, I have the Padres and the Braves, and I do think the Padres are going to sneak it out.
Okay. Nick, what did you have?
I have Chicago and Toronto as well. I also have Chicago winning. Ryu is a very solid pitcher, but I'll take Chicago at home with Giolito. And then I have San Diego versus St. Louis. And unfortunately for you Padre fans, I have you getting 100 wins and not winning a playoff game.
Ooh.
San Diego is better than St. Louis. But St. Louis has been in the playoffs almost every year the last decade. They have the pedigree. I just think I'm not even saying Flaherty's better than whoever San Diego is going to throw out there, whether it's Darvish, Snell, whoever it is. I just think one game, I'm just going to go with the upset. I'm going to pick Flaherty and Yadier Molina and Goldschmidt, Arenado, and roll with those boys and over San Diego.
Okay. I have Tampa playing the White Sox in the AL. I think Tampa's going to find a way to win that one game wild card. They have been in that position a number of times, and they typically almost always find a way to win. I think the White Sox are the better roster, but for one game, if they can out-strategize the White Sox, which is typically how they win games, it could happen. So I have
Giolito is going to be hard to beat, though.
Mm-hmm. He's going to be very difficult. I don't think he's going to be very difficult to beat. And an NL wild card, I have the Mets going against the Padres.
Oh, God, that would be good. DeGrom versus the Padres.
Yeah, I am really hoping and praying that matchup happens, because in my entire playoffs, I think that one may be the most intriguing matchup to me if that were to happen, Mets versus Padres. Obviously, maybe outside of Padres-Dodgers, but Mets-Padres for one game, leave it all on the line. I have the Padres winning. I think in typical Mets fashion, they improved on the pitching and Lindor, obviously. But in true Jacob deGrom Mets fashion, he'll give up 1 or 2 runs, and the offense will go silent, and the Padres will do just enough to beat them. Or it'll be a close game. They take DeGrom out, and the bullpen blows it.
I would say I would lean with DeGrom, but if the Mets lose, it'll probably be 8 scoreless from DeGrom, and then the bullpen blows them at 9.
Yeah.
That'll be like a 1-0 game or something like that.
It's like when the Mets were in the wild card game in like 2015 or that might have been 14, 15, 16. That's when Syndergaard was the ace.
Yeah.
It was Syndergaard versus Bumgarner. One of the best baseball games I've ever watched in my life. Just an absolute pitcher's duel. But the Giants realized they weren't going to hit Syndergaard, but they worked the count on him and got him out of there in like the 7th inning, whereas Bumgarner pitched 8 or 9, and the Giants won like 1-0 because they got at Urias Familia in the pen the first inning. The first inning Syndergaard came out.
But anyway, so that was my matchups for the wild card. So, Adam, give me your 2 ALDS matchups, who you have winning and how many games.
So I do have the Yankees. Did I have the White Sox winning? Yes, I believe I did.
Yes, you did.
I have the Yankees beating the White Sox. I believe. It's been a while. Is the DS still 5 games or it's 7 games?
Yep,
5.
Yep.
5 games. So I have them winning in 4 games.
Okay.
And then I have the Twins beating the Angels in 5 games.
Okay.
Let's go.
And then for the NL, I do have the Dodgers and Padres are going to meet up in the playoffs, and I think the Dodgers will beat them in 5 games as well.
If the Padres win that wild card round, they'll play the Dodgers probably. I mean, there's a good chance they match up because most likely one's going to get the wild card and one's going to get the number seed. So
yeah, and then I do have the Mets beating the Cardinals in the other one. I have that in 4 games.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, Nick, let's hear your division series matchup.
I have the White Sox. I have the Twins as my 1 seed actually, versus the White Sox. And I have the White Sox winning because I just cannot pick the Twins winning the postseason series as much as it hurts me. I was literally just thinking today, I'm like, I should watch a baseball movie. I'm thinking, Moneyball? Is Moneyball really a true story? The Twins won a playoff game in that movie. The Twins won a playoff series. Are we sure that's a true story? They can't win a game. I have them winning 1 game. I have the White Sox in 4, so I have the Twins winning a playoff game, but I just can't pick it to win a series as much as it hurts me to say it. So I have White Sox in 4. So the Twins with the 1 seed and losing right away. And then I have the Yankees over Oakland in 5. I think that would be a great series.
Nick,
Yep.
I was in 5th grade when the Moneyball season happened. I remember watching the Twins in the ALCS, and I was so happy. And I just remember losing to the Angels, and it hurt so hard. And that was the season
I was still very young, so I barely remember it. But it was I remember the celebration after Oakland. That was nice.
Yeah, and then I remember in 10th grade when the Twins were like the number 1 seed, and then they got swept by Oakland. And I'm like, this is like the hardest thing to come as a Twins fan.
Yeah, we lost to Oakland like 3 or 4 games in a row, then New York like 11.
Yeah.
And then Houston last year.
So it's been tough,
rough. It's
10
I'm hoping
years.
for something different this year, man.
Yeah.
Oh. And then my National League, I have the Dodgers over the Cardinals in 3. I think they'd sweep. And I have Atlanta versus Milwaukee, which to me would be a very interesting series. I would love to see Milwaukee. As much as I hate the Wisconsin Badgers and the Green Bay Packers, I like my baseball team to the border, the Brewers. I like the Brewers a lot. I would be rooting for them hard, but I'm just too high on Atlanta. I think they'd win in 4.
Okay. My division series matchups, I had Tampa going up against the Yankees. I think Tampa is going to scrap out a couple wins, but at the end of the day, the Yankees are going to win. I have the Yankees on 5, actually, so I have that one going the distance. That's interdivision matchup. They always play well against each other, so I have that. And then I have the Astros going up against the Twins, and
again,
I actually have the Twins winning in 4.
I hope you guys are right.
Now, as hesitant as I am to pick the Twins to win, because I had them going to the ALCS last year too. So it's not 2 years in a row. I'm doubling down. I think the Twins are a better roster than the Astros if they were to go up against them. Now, I was saying the same thing last year, and boy, was I wrong. But
Astros were 29-31 last year, and we didn't even beat them.
I had the Twins winning the division, or winning that matchup in 4. And then I have the Padres going up against the Dodgers. I think this is where the Padres hype train ends. In LA, I have the Dodgers winning in 5. I think it'll be a great series to watch, and I think it'll come down to the wire. But at the end of the day, I think the Dodgers will win that one.
You know, to be completely honest with you, the Twins could play the Pittsburgh Pirates in the playoffs, and I still would be very, very leery that we'd lose. That's just how little confidence and faith I have in the Twins in come playoff time. It hurts me to say that, but it's just they've caused me so much pain the last 3 years alone in the playoffs. They've ruined me, man.
Hey,
but I still love them.
Even the Rockies have won a playoff game more recently than the Twins. We haven't been in the playoffs since 2018.
We have the longest drought in the major four professional sports history, man. 17 games.
And then my other matchup, I have the Cardinals going up against the Braves. I think the Braves are just by far the better team. I have them winning in 4 for that one. So, Adam, we'll move over to your ALCS and NLCS matchups, and who do you have winning that?
So for the ALCS, I do have the Twins losing in 5 games to the Yankees. I think we do finally get that win against the Yankees in the postseason, and
I hope so.
I think it's gonna be the first game of the series, and it's gonna go downhill from there.
Mayetta would get it done.
Yeah. And then I do have the Dodgers beating the Mets, a sweep actually. I think the Dodgers are just too good. It's tough to match up against them, and so I think the Dodgers do sweep them to make the World Series.
Nick, what are your...
So I have Yankees versus White Sox. I'll leave it with that, even with the Jimenez injury, but I have Yankees and White Sox. To be honest, I'm really not – I don't think Chicago is quite as good as they're set out to be, and I don't think the Yankees are that great. But I have the Twins as the number 1, and I just don't trust them, and I don't think Oakland's good enough. I just am not high on the AL in general. So I have the Yankees over White Sox in 7. I really don't think the Yankees or White Sox are as good as anybody's saying. But at the end of the day, that's what I got. And I got Yankees over them in 7. So Yankees to the World Series. And I got Dodgers and Braves again in the NLCS. I think the Braves will compete, but I got Dodgers in 6.
I also have Twins versus Yankees, and I also have the Yankees winning in 5. So they do get that elusive 1 win against the Yankees, but it's not going to be enough. The Yankees are the better team there. And then for my NLCS matchup, I also have the Braves going up against the Dodgers. I think this also has potential to be a great series to watch, but I just think the star power from the Dodgers is just going to be a little bit too much for the Braves. So I have the Dodgers winning in 6 in that one. So World Series predictions now, Adam. We'll start with you.
Looks like it'll be the same.
Yeah, I do have the Dodgers beating the Yankees in 6 games. So back-to-back champs.
And then World Series MVP, who would you have winning that?
Oh, I probably have Seager. I think Seager's going to win the World Series MVP. You know, or him or Betts. Either one of them take off.
To get this, last year I picked Dodgers, and I picked – so Seager got World Series MVP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I picked Dodgers and Justin Turner for World Series MVP at the beginning of the year, and then coming into the playoffs, I picked Dodgers and Seager. And Seager got MVP, and Justin Turner probably would have been second. So I feel pretty accomplished about that one.
That's always good, yeah.
I have Dodgers over Yankees in 6 as well. Like I said, this might be kind of boring. We all got the favorites probably, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know how you can go against the Dodgers. So I got Dodgers repeating in 6. I don't know if it'll even make it a 6. And I have Cody Bellinger always has struggled his whole career in the playoffs with the exception of a few at bats here and there. But I didn't want to pick, the obvious bets. Seager had last year. I'm going to go with Bellinger this year and say he finds it in the playoffs, and I'll take him for World Series MVP. And I even went and did NLCS MVP and ALCS, and I got Judge and Betts.
Okay. I like that. So, again, also, Yankees, Dodgers. I also have the Dodgers winning in 6. So at the end of the day,
we'll either all be right or all be wrong.
That's right. Yeah, we're all going down together, or we're going down in flames, or we're winning this thing. The Dodgers are just such a good team. The Yankees, with Garrett Cole, you got to probably give them at least one game. So, but I think they'll win a couple. I think Dodgers in 6. And I also have Bellinger winning the World Series MVP as well, too.
If Dodgers and Yankees actually happens, like, at the end of the day, it's baseball. It probably won't happen. But if it does, that would be the World Series a lot of people would see. Everybody hates the Dodgers and Yankees, but it would also be – but for that reason, it would also be a World Series that everybody's been wanting to see for a long time.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah. It would be good for baseball. It really would.
East Coast, West Coast, Yankees, Dodgers.
Both used to be in New York.
Yeah.
Probably the most notable franchises there is besides maybe the Red Sox. I don't know.
Definitely. So we'll get into our award predictions. We'll start with MVP. Adam, who do you have for your AL and NL MVP?
So for NL MVP, I can't disagree with Nick. I think Juan Soto is a really good player, and I do think he is going to win the MVP.
Yes.
I think he's just going to carry that team a lot. I did 1 and 2, and I did have Tatis coming in second for the MVP.
I did 1 and 2 too, so I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, so I think he could definitely win it as well. So it'll be interesting what happens there. So that's what I have for my NL MVP. For my AL MVP, it's hard to ever root against Mike Trout as the MVP. He's always gonna get votes. Yeah. So I do have him winning with Aaron Judge coming in second. I think
I love that pick. I thought about going Judge. At the end of the day, it's hard. I just don't know if he's going to be able to play enough games to get it, but I thought about going with Judge.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting what happens there. But, yeah, those are my 4 candidates with Trout winning the AL MVP and Soto winning the NL MVP.
All right, so NL, as I mentioned, I have Soto. I do think Yelich is going to have a bounce-back year. I almost picked Yelich. I have Yelich second. I think it's going to be one of those two. I'm fairly confident of it. But I will give Soto the edge. However, it shouldn't matter, but being that I have Washington going 81-81 and Milwaukee winning their division, I could see him putting Yelich in over Soto. But I'll go Soto 1, Yelich 2. And MVP for AL, I wouldn't call me a Trout hater, but I don't know why. It's just like I've never actively really rooted for the guy. I never pick him for MVP. Part of the reason I just don't really want to pick the favorite all the time. Part of the reason, I don't know. It's almost like I'm a Trout hater without trying. I don't know why, okay? I just am. So I don't pick Trout. I think he will get – I picked him to get second. He's going to be top 3 if he stays healthy. He has been every year. But I'm going with a surprise to most as my MVP. And unfortunately, he might not even play the first week of the season, which sucks. But I'm going with George Springer. He's on a new team. As you mentioned it, he's not even really that old, but he's the veteran of the Blue Jays lineup.
Yeah.
And he's going to be RBI. It's going to be RBI city for him, even if he bats leadoff. And I think he's going to have a really good year this year. I'm hoping for it because I'm going for him for fantasy this year. And I got George Springer getting MVP.
Okay, I like that. That is an out there pick, but I like it. My MVPs are different from both of your guys. So NL MVP, I picked him last year. He didn't win. I have Ronald Acuna Jr. winning MVP this year. I think, and the reason I'm going to pick him, just reading a stat now, he could become the 5th ever player, potentially, to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in a season. The last player to do that was Alfonso Soriano in 2006. He almost did it in 2019.
Like 40 and 38 or something, right?
41 home runs and 37 stolen bases.
Wow.
My opinion, I love him. I love watching Acuna play. So I have him winning MVP. I have Juan Soto finishing in second, though, behind him. And then my AL MVP, I actually have the man who probably should have won it the last 2 years, DJ LeMahieu.
I thought about him, too.
I have LeMahieu winning MVP. Again, he's just, no disrespect to Jose Abreu at all. The man definitely deserved it, but I definitely think LeMahieu was more deserving of it the last 2 seasons than who ended up winning it. So I'm giving it to LeMahieu. to win the MVP. I have Mike Trout finishing second for that award, though. I mean, the man's, my opinion, I think he is the best just pure hitter in the game. He's not going to hit the most home runs, not drive the most runs. I think, LeMahieu. I think he's just the best pure hitter in the game. He can hit it just about, and a Gold Glover as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my MVP. So Cy Young, Adam, who'd you have for that?
So I kind of been hinting at this when you asked me who my favorite pitcher is. So I do have Garrett Cole winning the AL Cy Young. I think he's just a really solid pitcher. You can't really ask much more for a pitcher. He's gonna have his numbers. The one thing that would probably the one thing that hinders him is just I think he's gonna be on a solid team, and maybe some voters will not vote him the Cy Young because of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
NL was a little bit more toss up for me. In my heart, I wanted Trevor Bauer to win it, but I did go with DeGrom winning the NL Cy Young. I just think, kind of, we talked about him and Garrett Cole. He can almost go 1-2 as best pitchers in the league.
Oh yeah.
DeGrom's always lights out. You know what you're gonna get from him every single outing. Like he never shies away from that. Just a solid pitcher overall. Yeah, I have him winning the NL Cy Young this year.
All right. Yeah, I don't like taking obvious all the time, but at the end of the day, there's some obvious or favorites for a reason, and that's because DeGrom is very good, and I'm going with DeGrom. I mean, he won it 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and I think it was second or third last year. Probably going to win it again this year. He doesn't really get hurt, so I'm just going to go with him. The guy I have in second is Brandon Woodruff. I actually think he's a very good pitcher. I could see him winning it this year. So I have Yelich and Woodruff, 2 Brewers, as second for MVP and Cy Young. As I mentioned before, I'm already high in the Brewers. So, and then it's between Bieber and Cole in the AL. I think Bieber just straight up needs to do better, than Cole this year. Like the Indians need him even more than the Yankees need Cole. Yeah. And Bieber's going to pitch 8 innings every single game practically if he can, and I think there's an argument to be made that Bieber is better. It's close. I thought I was going to get the pick between them in fantasy. Turns out, and I was leaning Bieber, but turns out I was one pick later than I thought, and Cole went right before me. So I'm like, that's all right. I was leaning Bieber anyways. But those are 1 and 2. I'll go Bieber 1 and Cole second, but it's probably going to be one of those 2. So I got Bieber and DeGrom.
Okay. So my Cy Young awards for AL, I have Garrett Cole winning that as well too to get his first ever Cy Young. There's not much more I can say that hasn't already been said about him, so I'll just kind of move on for that. Second place though, I have Tyler Glasnow from the Tampa Bay Rays in second place. I love me some Tyler Glasnow. So I have him finishing second. NL Cy Young, as much as I think Jacob deGrom's best pitcher in baseball, but I do think that he's not going to win it again this year, which is a shock. I mean, he won it 2 years in a row, and he might not win it 2 years in a row now, with Bauer winning it last year. So I have him finishing second. In first place, I have Walker Buehler from the Los Angeles.
That was my pick last year, and he just didn't do what I thought. I think he's going to be solid this year, but. Yeah.
Yep. So I have Walker Buehler finishing ahead of him for the Cy Young in the National League. So now we'll do Rookie of the Year here. Adam, we'll start with you. Who do you have for that?
For the AL, I have Jared Kelenic for the Mariners. Okay. I think he's a pretty solid player. I think he's like a top 10 prospect coming into the season too. So he's pretty high up there. Gives Mariners fans something to look forward to. The only thing that's probably gonna suck for him is he's not gonna have a lot of people watch him outside of Mariners fans. So
that would be 2 Mariners in a row if that happens, I believe, because Lewis got it last year.
Yeah. And then for the National League, I said this during my prediction, but I have Ian Anderson of the Braves winning the NL Rookie of the Year.
Stud at the end of last year, man.
Yeah, he was killing it at the end of last year, and I think that's just gonna continue to this year. And so I think he'll have a pretty good season. I think he'll win the NL Rookie of the Year.
Nice.
For mine, he's still qualified as a rookie. The guy who took the postseason by storm, Randy Arozarena. I really don't know what to expect. He's still considered a rookie. And I don't know what to expect out of him. Are we going to see, obviously he's not going to hit, a home run every darn game like he did in the playoffs, but are we going to see that at Rosarina, or is he going to take a step down? We'll see, but I'm going to lean with him. Kellenick should be good. Franco's going to be a stud, but he's not going to get called up early enough if he even does get called up. So I'll lean with the Rosarina. And then Rookie of the Year in the NL, very good chance it's Ke'Bryan Hayes, I think. Possibly the only bright spot for the Pirates. But I'm going to go with, I mentioned it before, maybe the coolest name to say, Sixto Sanchez of the Marlins.
Yeah.
Marlins got a lot of good young arms, Sixto Sanchez, Pablo Lopez, but I'm going to go with Sixto Sanchez. This guy's got filthy stuff. He's got a flamethrower. I mentioned before, I'm high on the Marlins. I have them with 84 wins, large part due to Sixto Sanchez, and I'm going to go with him.
So my rookies of the year, starting in the National League, I have Ke'Bryan Hayes winning it for Pittsburgh. When he got called up in September last year, he had a slash line of 376, 442, and 682.
Wow.
With 5 home runs, 7 doubles, and 2 triples. He was the NL Rookie of the Month last year.
Pretty good line.
That is solid.
And this spring as well, too. You think that was good. Well, this is even better. He's hitting 413, 449, and 696 in 15 games for Pittsburgh.
Dang, I should have drafted him.
So I definitely think he's going to be a solid player this year. I'm excited to see how he does. So I have him winning for the National League. The American League, I have Boston Red Sox player Bobby Dalbec.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I have him winning Rookie of the Year. This man is going to hit a lot of home runs, folks. This man, honestly, mark my words, I could see him hitting 40 home runs this year. This guy's going to hit a lot. I'm pretty sure he led everyone in spring training with home runs this year already. So I'm excited to see how he does. So I have Bobby Dalbec winning in the American League. And I don't know if you guys did Manager of the Year. That was the last one that I had, but I figured might as well mention it. Adam, you want to start us off if you had that?
I figured you were doing it, so I just picked the 2 surprise teams that I picked for this year. So Joe Madden for the AL with the Angels. I think he wins it. I think they make the playoffs this year. So I think they'll give it to him just because that's usually how it happens. If you don't make the playoffs the year before, you'll get it. And then Luis Rojas for the Mets, I think he'll be the NL Manager of the Year. Same scenario, bringing a team to the playoffs. They got that really good, fun, exciting club. It'll be interesting what happens, but I think he wins it for the NL.
Nick?
Yeah, normally, like Adam said, it goes to kind of the surprise team's manager. But I don't really have one of those in the AL. So I said Baldelli because I have them getting the best record, which I'm not even the biggest Baldelli guy, but that would be his second Manager of the Year in 3 years in 3 years managing if that happens. In the NL, the Brewers are probably my one surprise team, but I'm not sure they're a huge surprise. And I only have them at 91 wins, so I went with Dave Roberts because the Dodgers I have getting 105 wins. So I got Roberts and Baldelli.
Yeah, neither of mine are really too surprising. I have Dave Roberts in the National League for the Dodgers, and then I have Aaron Boone for the Yankees in the American League. So those are my 2 picks. With that, folks, that's a wrap on our predictions episode. So Adam or Nick, either of you guys want to bring anything up baseball related or discuss here at it?
Just to add, I put Platinum Glove Nolan Arenado because he wins every year. Right. I just went out on a limb for AL with Luis Robert, and I think James Karinchak and Josh Hader get reliever of the year. I guess I'm just going to say I am so pumped for opening day. I don't know why I'm way more excited this year than I probably ever have been. I'm so ready for baseball, man. I'm so ready to play baseball, too. That'll be coming up. But I don't know. I hope it's a good season. The Dodgers look like the clear favorites. They should be, and obviously we all have them winning it all. I think they will, but you never know in baseball. The Dodgers have been the best team for probably 6 years, and they've only won it, last year. So I hope it's competitive. Hopefully the main stars stay healthy. That's always a big thing. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking forward to it, man. And I'm very, very, very glad with 21 more berries that they are going back to the 10 teams and they did not continue with the expanded playoffs because expanded playoffs just irk irk me so bad, man. I hate how 16 teams make it in the NHL and NBA. And if baseball would have added more teams, I would have been a very, very unhappy man. So thank you, MLB PA, for voting that down.
Adam, anything?
Yeah, I kind of going off what Nick says. Opening day always makes me feel like spring is here. Like you know, there's baseball in there. It's always good to watch games every night, and just see good pitching matchup. See some of those rising.
Yeah, opening day is ace versus ace. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always good. And so I'm really excited for a full season. 162 games will be fun to watch again. I'm kind of with you on the playoffs there. I'm kind of glad I went back to the old format. It'll be interesting what happens. We'll always see the surprises that will come out in Major League Baseball this year. But I'm excited for the season, man. I can't even wait.
Oh boy, Lucas says it's bad out. I'm actually going to Diamond Joe in Iowa to watch all the games. So.
Oh, nice. That would be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Everything that you guys said, I agree. So we don't need to hear it 3 times because
Lucas is looking forward to the Rockies winning a bunch of games this year.
Oh yeah, no way we don't. No way we don't. At least 100. But anyways, Adam, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, that was very in-depth analysis. Thanks, Adam. That was good.
Yeah, thanks. You guys know way more than me. I've been on the loop for a while, so thanks for making me feel good about
with it.
You held your own. You held your own.
Credit, Adam.
Thank you.
Adam, I don't know if you have any social media or if people want to reach out to you and talk sports with you, if you want to drop any of that or anything else you want to plug right
Twitter
now.
handle.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can always hook me up. Look me up on Instagram at Sacred Heart Kid. That's probably the best way. Other than that, I try to stay off of social media. But if anyone ever wants to watch a game, just let me know. I'm always down to watch a game.
You still in Cato?
I am in Cato, yeah.
I seen you driving that one day. All right, yeah, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, I always see. Actually, I see Lucas. I work at Applebee's. I see Lucas at Applebee's all the time.
Oh wow! I didn't even know you worked there.
Yeah, he's been my waiter before. I didn't know you still worked there.
Yeah, part-time now. I have another job, but yeah, I still work there a little bit.
Oh, cool. All right, well, I'll have to hit you up the next time I'm there. Maybe you can give me some free apps or something.
Don't push your luck now.
Well, if you want to follow Nick or I on Twitter, you can follow myself at Lucas_Dorton, capital L and D. If you want to follow Nick on Twitter at Doetkott. If you want to follow our official Twitter page, it is at DND_podcast, capital D's, capital P for that. Folks, be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Share this with your friends, family, anyone that you know. And if, just like Adam, if you want to be on the show as well, too, let us know. We'd love to have you on. I always like having fresh faces on here to talk sports. Without further ado, this is a wrap for episode 56. And as for Adam, Nick, and myself, Lucas, until next time, we are out.